It's been decades since anyone's opened the diff on the car. It has a leak and needs oil.
This is what I will be using to complete this job. Let's talk about the oil first and foremost. You'll notice that this is very close to what you use in the transmission, but it is not the same. In your transmission, you use 75W90NS with the NS designation right here. You do not want to use that in your differential. Differentials are limited slip. They come standard on all Alfas, and you want to use the 75W90. NS means non-slip. Of course, you'll need a breaker bar and a torque wrench. You'll need a 22mm drain plug socket, a 12mm hex head socket, a 10mm wrench and or socket to get the sump bolts out and then retorqued. You'll need a fluid transfer pump if you want to keep the job nice and clean, and of course you'll need your gasket. Now, I'm also using high temp gasket maker. You don't necessarily need it, but I've seen a few others use it, and I looked at my differential and there is some left over from the last person that did this job. So I'm gonna copy them and I'm gonna use red RTV silicone.
To jack the car up for this job, put blocks onto the front wheel to stop the car from rolling. Then disconnect the emergency brake and put the car in neutral. Use ramps or jack stands to hold the car up from the rear.
I apologize in advance for the glare. I'm trying my best here.
Using the 22mm, remove the oil drain plug from the bottom of the differential.
You have to leave that for about 15 minutes. Let it drain. Of course, you want to clean off your drain plug, and I'm going to open up the port up top. Oh, I just smacked my funny bone against the ground.
I've given the drain plug just a quick little cleaning so it's got that nice brass sheen to it. Gotta be careful not to lose that washer. But while that's draining, let's go ahead and remove the sump.
I'll be using my camera to inspect for metal flakes. This will tell me if anything in the differential is damaged, worn, or otherwise breaking. The black stuff is grease, so I'm not too worried about that, and the oil looks really clean. There's no glitter. So it's on to cleaning and removing the old gasket. While doing so, make sure that you inspect the mating surface for cracks. If needed, gently brush the mating surface with a plastic brush. Dry everything off and then apply your RTV. Repeat the process with the bottom of the differential. Then take the lower portion of the pan with the new gasket and attach it finger tight to the casing. Take the remaining hardware and finger tighten all the way around. Make sure you have a nice seep of gasket make here come out from the seams of the casing. That ensures you have a good seal. Let this dry for an hour before coming back to retorque. Unfortunately, there's no torque spec for the bottom of this pan in the Alfa manual. Many people think that 7 foot-pounds is enough. I don't have a torque wrench that can handle it, so I'm doing everything by feel. I wouldn't recommend this, but if something starts to leak, I'll simply tighten it down a little more.
So, with everything else installed on the car, you're going to want to torque down your drain plug. I've chosen to go up in increments of 5 foot-pounds from 15 to 25. People say that around 30 is generally where the oil will stop leaking from this seal. But since there's no given spec, I'm going to start at 25, and if stuff starts leaking, I'll just tighten it up. Here we go. Now, the seal has to cure for 24 hours before you can add fluid. So I'm going to let this sit overnight, and add fluid in the morning.
Even if the top of the pump doesn't match the top of the bottle, you can still use it. But I'm showing you a second way.
So what I've done here is mildly interesting. I have a piece of clear plastic and I have shaped it into a funnel, and I'm holding the gear oil up above the exhaust. And this bottle is too thick to pour out because of the spare wheel well.
After taking a nice bath in gear oil once it reaches the bottom of the port, you're good to put the plug back into the differential. I torqued it down to 25 foot-pounds again, cleaned up the bottom of the diff, and I'm done. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.